Hi guys, it's Theclipperking returning for another new review for my channel. As you can see, the figure in front of you is the Iron Man Mark 42 from the Iron Man 3 movie. And I've got to say, it is the first die-cast figure that I've received and had in my collection. So I am buzzing about this one. I'm just going to, while I'm showing you the figure, nice and close, I'm going to just speak a couple of slight changes that you'll notice on my channel. The first of which you probably would have just noticed. The advertising, the company logos are three good friends of mine. Wyman at 16 Brews, Lee Ward at The Good, The Bad and The Robots, and Matt Dexter at Toy HQ. Although this figure didn't come from them, I feel like it's the least I can do. Those guys have helped me in the past, and I feel like even though the figure hasn't been bought from them, it will be going into stock with those guys shortly. So for all you collectors who don't mind a little longer wait, but want to pick the figures up at the most reasonable prices, I would say talk to those three guys. I do support all three of them. Like I say, even though I have picked the figure up new, basically I've explained before, if I can get a figure new, if I can afford it, because it helps my YouTube channel, that's why I do it. I never buy new because I don't trust those three guys. I have never sort of hinted at that, and that is not the case. They're all great guys, and like I said, if you don't mind the little longer wait, they do work their hardest to bring you the figures that we all have in this collection. So like I said, bear those three guys in mind. Secondly, a new change that I want to include in my reviews is, normally I would start on the source material, or firstly I'd do my shout outs and thank yous, tell you where the figures come from, and then I would go straight into the source material. What I'm going to try and include, although I'm not going to score it, is the first impression that the figure made. So I'm going to start including that in the reviews, and I hope it is of interest for you. I'm also going to try and speed the reviews up a little bit and try and curb my language a little bit. It is a conscious decision. I don't know how well I'll be able to do it because I am quite a passionate reviewer, and it is just how I talk. I don't throw any extra swears in that I don't mean to do, but I am going to try and curb it a little bit. So first things first, where did the figure come from? Most of you guys will already know, particularly friends on Facebook will know that the figure came from Anthony Sang, a friend of mine. You guys might know as Budget Stark through Facebook. Picked up a few figures recently. If you've not seen the reviews on those figures, please go back and have a look. He's sort of my go-to guy now, I suppose, for the new release stock because he does me a good service. His prices are sometimes negotiable, sometimes are a little bit high, but like I said, I've got enough strength for character that if I don't want to pay a certain price, then I can walk away from a deal and it's no hard feeling. So I will just say that. Most of you guys know him by now anyway. He's shipped enough figures recently that most of you will know him. If you don't, his connection will be in the description box below. So yeah, when I first made contact with Anthony, he set out looking for the Jack of Spades figure, which is there, and I'm loving it still. Really sought after figure, and I'm buzzing to own it. I've been, actually, just as a little side note, I've been offered so much money for this figure since I've had it, more than any other figure I've ever had in the collection. People will just randomly say to you, can I buy your Jack of Spades figure? Just out of blue. And it's never happened with another figure really before that. So yeah, buzzing to have that figure. Around that time, Anthony, or Tony as I mainly refer to him as now, asked me, do you have a list of figures that you'd be interested in, because I don't mind looking, and so on and so forth. And I basically just said, well, just the usual, what the guys want, the new Thor, the replacements of the Marvel stuff. Now I'm getting rid of the Avengers and this figure and that figure. One of the first ones I mentioned was this. Now I pretty much expected this to be expensive because by then the Iron Patriot and War Machine had already come out, and I saw the price of that and I thought this is going to be around that price or slightly more because this one will be the most sought after. So I knew that was the case. So I basically said I would be looking for that, but again it would be dependent on price. And he actually said to me, and I don't know if I've told anybody this before, he said, well, I've actually pre-ordered two of that figure about a year ago. He says at the sort of new release pre-order price. He says, so I don't mind if you want to pick up my spare one, I can do it you at the best price possible. That's what he did. So a massive shout out, because he could have offered anybody that deal and they would have snatched his hand off. So I'm just flattered that it was me offered it to. So like I said, massive shout out to Anthony for that. So that is where the figure came from. My first impressions. Anybody who watched the unboxing video that I did earlier today with this and the Mark 33, I think you could probably tell from the video that this one, when I pulled it out of the box, were buzzing about. When I said buzzing, I use this comment quite flippantly sort of thing. When I say I'm buzzing, it's like something out of ordinary. Like, sometimes I'll order a figure and then it's like I'm not that bothered when it gets there, and like it gets there when it gets there. This one was sort of the same thing. I've seen Iron Man figures before, and I thought to myself, it's going to be a little different, but it's not going to be a massive buzz to me. I will say, when I picked it up and I felt the weight and then the initial cold feeling of the steel, I was like, ooh, this is something new, and that gets my juice flowing. So it did have a really strong first impression for me, and I've got to say, the time I've spent with it today, I've been gently posing it, checking out the arms, which I will cover, or the problem that some people are having sort of in the shoulder sections. I will cover that through the review. I've been as careful can be with this. So I've been trying some poses, finding out what it's done by reading the instruction manual, and the more time I spent with it, the more I like it. So that is the first impression. Now what I'm going to do is put a short pause in, and I'll roll onto the source material. Right, let the scores begin. First of all, you know I always cover the source material. I explain my thoughts on the character or the film it's from, and I pretty much take everything into account. I'm not sure that I've covered a figure before from the Iron Man Mark III. In fact, I'm totally sure I haven't. So, what were my thoughts on the film? I thought, in all honesty, it was the weakest of the 3 Iron Man films. A lot of people don't like the second Iron Man film. I think most agree that the first is the best, and I would go along with that. I did like the second one, although this one, it sort of, I liked it, but there were a couple of flaws that I didn't like. I didn't think they introduced the suits in depth. They pretty much, this is the suit of the film, and then we do see the other Mark suits, but they never really explain what each suit does. That's not the biggest fault with the film. I think the main villain is very weak, and I think a weak villain sort of, it kills the jeopardy of the film. I didn't like that about it, and I do think that there were a tiny little bit too much Tony Stark and not quite enough Iron Man. That were my honest thoughts. I think the set pieces were really good, really strong, but I think you could tell that there was some kind of agreement from Robert Downey Jr. that we would see more of him and less of Iron Man. And I think, I don't know, when the title is Iron Man, that's who you're going to see. Same with Bruce Wayne or Batman. You go in and you're basically waiting for the Batman scenes, and that's how I feel with most superhero films, which is what made Avengers so strong for me. So yeah, I wouldn't give it any more than a 3 out of 5, because normally a really, really good superhero film I would give a 4. I would never go to a 5, a classic score, which I say in nearly every review, and I'm getting sick of hearing myself say it. But something like this or The Winter Soldier, I would only give a 3. So, like I say, on source material, I've given it a 3 out of 5. And I will just say, I did swap up the pose a little bit, sort of spread his arms more and close down his mask, just to show you a little bit of variation. Rolling onto the packaging, and although I do really like this packaging, I am going to try and make this brief. It is a new style of packaging to me, I've got to say, and I will show the layers involved. It is sort of a wrap-round front graphic, and it's sort of it's kind of like the Avengers, where they use the visual mixing techniques. You can see with the dots behind, so on and so forth, and then it's highlighted with like a white stenciling effect on top of the clear cover, and that wraps around to that side and also wraps around that side. Really nice, very impressive, very presentational, which is what I require in a figure of this value. I just think it takes it to the next level. Obviously the picture would cover the top portion of the box. Moving down, you get the Mark 42, the fact it's die cast and so on and so forth. You do get the MMS serial number and also the D02. I'm thinking that that's the die cast 02. I think the War Machine would have probably been D01, and I'm guessing that the Iron Patriot would have been D03, but I could be wrong on that. I don't know everything. Again, the logos. And then inside, which I will show you, is a polystyrene box. What I will say on that is, on a couple of the reviews I watched for the Iron Patriot or the War Machine, I think that the plastic sort of slid up and off of the actual cardboard box. This one doesn't seem to, because underneath the edges, it's sort of wrapped underneath, so the box never comes out of the clear plastic, which I do like, because it does always stay lined up and it feels like it would be bulletproof. So I do like that about it. You do lift that section off, and then there's sort of a divide here. which then behind does show that there is a full-size polystyrene, as we'd say in the UK, or styrofoam I think in the US. That is inside, which I will take out of the bottom bit now. So as you can see, that's been removed, and you get a full-size box with a laser cut Mark 42. You can see you can sort of put your finger there and pull that out. It's a really nice tight fit, so the pieces underneath don't flop around. It holds them in place really well. Really nice, very well protected, and it just looks different. On the back, as you can see, the base section, and then the battery compartment, and the stand clip, and then the pole are in this bit, and you just basically pull that out from the back, and it's just a clam section that fits into the back of the polystyrene. Really nice box, and I do like, if I'm paying toppy dollar for a figure, I want the box to show that it is toppy dollar. I don't want no corners cut. Callan's sat laughing behind me because I've said toppy dollar. I don't know, little things please, little minds. So yeah, I do like the box to say, right, this figure costs this much, we are even seeing figure. That's what this box does for me. I do like the artwork, I do like the weight of it, and I do like the materials used. So for me, it's a very easy 5 out of 5. Right, let's move on to the likeness, and this is mainly facial likeness. In fact, it's totally facial likeness. I don't know why I said mainly. So I'm going to cover the helmets and the head sculpt underneath. I've tried to get a pose that will let me get around underneath, but obviously because where the lighting's coming from, I am going to take the faceplate off in a minute. But before we do, I think the first thing I will do is close the faceplate. At the moment, although the suit is all clean, you will see the battle damage sections before the review ends. The faceplate is the battle damage one. Really, really nice battle damage on it. I think the helmet is represents the movie really well, which obviously is important. It is instantly recognisable from the main suit from Iron Man 3, so I do like that. The faceplates are interchangeable, obviously, you guys will know that. The other head is the light up head, which again I will show you before the review ends, but like I said, this one is the battle damage one. Like I say, I think they've caught it really, really well. I hope the camera's as showing as much detail as it looks like it is through the viewfinder. Again, I'll just mention here quickly, these reviews are filmed in full HD but uploaded mainly in 720, so if you're not on that setting, it might be worth watching the review again in that setting, particularly for a figure like this, because there is a lot of in-depth detail, so to speak, so I wouldn't want you to miss it. So at this point what I'll do is I'll take the faceplate off altogether. Right, the Robert Downey or Tony Stark head underneath is pretty much the go-to sculpt now, sort of from the mechanic version or the new mech test, or I forgot what it's called, that one, the workshop version. It's that, and then they vary the amount of battle damage or clean or where the eyes look. Now this one, the eyes slightly look up and left, which I like because I've got the Silver Centurion here and that looks straight ahead, so the contrast is really nice. You're not just getting sort of the same paint over and over again. I will say as well, there is variances in the battle damage, more in some places, less in others. I think this fits the suit really well because the intent on his face is really, really good, and that's from every angle. Now, just trying to twist my arm so I can catch it and get some light up underneath. Like I said, you'll all know the sculpt. You'll be you're pretty familiar with it. I think the Mark 7 battle damage, it's that sculpt. And like I said, the two clean heads that we've seen on the Tony Stark figures, it is that sculpt. Now, I've said before, I used to have the Mark 4 and I loved it. I loved the head sculpt that come with it. Although it were never 100% accurate, I've reviewed the mechanic version. Again, I really like it, but I still don't think it's accurate. There's something that they're struggling with to get a Robert Downey bang on, and I still think that's the case with this. It's really, really good, and you do know it is straight away. But like I said, when you've had a collection that sees the Man of Steel figure, or the Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp, or other figures that are really, really accurate, it just, I don't know, it leaves you knowing that this is not in that league. It's really good, obviously, but it's not perfect. So, I don't know. Like I said, taking into account everything, the helmet size and shape, and the fact that we do get two head sculpts, the light up one and the battle damage face. I think that is a massive booster. But again, I can't tell you that it's a perfect Robert Downey sculpt because I honestly believe that it's not. So it's more a case of how close is it. I would say like this, it's pretty close, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. That's open for discussion because some people see things differently. Like I said, I think figures, like I said, the ones I mentioned, probably even the Batman, the 89 Batman, although it's got a mask on, you know what it is underneath. This one, I don't know, it's not perfect, basically. So I have given it a 4 out of 5. Just looking around the pose, you pretty much got him in a pose where he'd be running into a window or whatever, and he's just about to take off. Just again, most poses you could get from this figure, because the lines are so natural looking and the articulation's been boosted that much, you're always going to get quite nice looking poses. I mean, I looked at the photos, like I said, of the Hong Kong bloggers, and they didn't have a bad picture among them. So that comes down to the figure and also their keen eye for photography. But like I say, really nice. Right, rolling on to his outfit. Major part on this figure, because if the outfit didn't work, then it kills everything. On a lot of figures, that's normally the likeness. But on this, I feel it is the outfit. How does it look? How does it move? How do you maintain it, I suppose? Everything. Now, I've had Iron Man figures, you know, before. I've had the Mark IV, the Mark VI Battle Damage, the Mark VII, the Armour Unleashed. I think that would be it. And I've always liked them. There's always been something to like about them. There's always been something to dislike about them. It's normally the articulation for me. This one brings into play something for me that I've never seen before. And I spoke about in the unboxing. And it's the feel of it. Normally, if you get an Iron Man, and you guys will know, they always feel a little bit plasticky and toyish, simply because they are toys and they are plastic, and that's how they feel. This is different altogether. As soon as your finger touch the metal, you think, oh, that's unfamiliar. I don't recognise it. It feels cold, and it feels sharp, and it feels how it looks, if that makes sense. You look at a normal Iron Man, like, for example, sorry light's not on, but you look at this and it looks good and the paint works really good, and it's functional and so on and so forth, and the interchangeable parts keep you interested. It's really good. Put on top of that the way that this one feels, and you go into a new level, because you're thinking, if I went to a gallery or a museum and I saw this suit in real life and I touched it, they'd made it, it were a prop, a movie prop, and I was touching it, this is how I imagine it to feel. So you're getting that whole new, another sense sort of stimulated by the figure. And also because there is metal and sort of parts like that, it feels robust and it feels heavy. Although we have seen, obviously through Facebook and Sideshow Freaks and other forums, there is problems with the underside of the shoulder connection. Like I said, I've not got those problems on this, but I can sort of point out to you where that problem will be, and I will do that in a minute. But, like I said, I think, design-wise, I think it's pretty flawless as regards to, does it resemble the figure from the movie? I would say 100% yes. Even down to, if you look inside these sections here, like the look of the pistons on the section that moves and rotates, sort of double use materials here, it's twin layered, and that sort of pulls off to the side, which I will show when I put the battle damage. But inside there, it's all metallic looking. When you pop the shoulder out, which I'll probably show in a minute, all inside the pistons and the sort of the rotators and everything, they look how they would. And I said that from a point of view of like being a fork truck driver. You see sort of the hydraulics and how the pistons move and so on and so forth, and they've captured it really, really well. Even down to all you guys that have had the Iron Man figures before, that section is always like a colour-coded rubber that when you move it, it sort of balloons up and moves. And to display what I mean by that, like here, you see it's like a rubberized thing, which, yeah, fair enough, it goes, it's good enough. But this one goes to the next level. It's like a chrome material, yet it don't kill the articulation. It looks authentic and works properly. So like that. Moving down to the stomach, the splits in where the section will pull up, and you can twist and dip and swivel the abs, and it just looks like it really is working because of the design of the suit. And that's same around the back as well, really good. Moving down to the girdle. Now, most Iron Mans, it's a soft rubber. On this, it's not. It's more fixed. But to combat that, they've sort of had these sections here that will move up and out of the way. There's like sort of, they will rock and swivel so that when you're articulating and bring the leg forward, that don't get in the way. And then you can just push it back and it's like it's never moved. Just really, really good work. I've never had an Iron Man figure and thought, fucking hell, the engineering that's gone into that is stunning. This one, that's all I think about when I look at it. That's the point. Even down to the sort of foot section. It fits flush, yeah, you can drag his foot down about 1/2 centimetre and these plates all still stay authentic looking and fit back in flush. It's really well done. Same on the other side, look, it's got like a much tidier look to it than the other Iron Man or the other ones I've seen. Bearing in mind as well, I haven't seen the new War Machine or the Iron Patriot. I haven't seen those. So yeah, everything just looks really nice. Obviously it has the brake flaps, which I don't think I'm going to be able to get. I know I'm not, because I'll be able to do that one, I think. Obviously you get those on both sides, so that does open, fits back in. Again, fits really flush. Some Iron Man figures we've had before doesn't. It hangs at the Mark IV I'm thinking about. Moving down, look, the sort of servos and hydraulics and so on down the back. They look really good, and when you're twisting it and moving it, they look like they're really working. It's really, really an impressive thing, guys. I don't really buzz about Iron Man because I'm not a massive Iron Man fan, but this one is, I don't know, it is the one to have, I can tell you that now. Of what I've seen, it is the one to have. Back of the legs, all the articulation still works yet again. All looks metal, all looks chromed, really good. I'll get you all the thing. Bearing in mind as well, this one also has interchangeable parts, so it will become battle damage to an extent, not massively battle damage. So it's like the Mark VII battle damage, but there is parts that will change, and I will change them out in a minute. But yeah, I can't say enough good about it. It just works, and it looks good, and it feels amazing. So what I'm going to do now is I'll probably get to a point, put the lights on. I think we'll have a look at it with the lights on and the cabinet lights off. And then I'll go to battle damage. One thing I will mention, and to me is a little bit of a niggle, to be honest. I don't see the point of it. As you can see, I'm lighting it up. The light switch for the back is between his shoulder blades, really easy to get to. The hand repulsors, again, the switch is there, really easy to get to. To put the lights in the eyes, you've got to take off the faceplate, which I've done. The top section of the helmet is it's not fixed. It's like a skull cap, so you've got to widen it to get the clips out of sort of ear and ear, and then lift it off. When you've took it off, as you can see, the magnets to hold the helmet, the batteries go in there, and then the switch is there. So that is how you do it. I really don't like that. It would have been better if it were like the Mark VII, when you take the faceplate off and the button will just behind that, because I can't see too many people messing about with that helmet that much to keep putting the lights on and off. So I really don't like that about it. Having said that, once it's done, it does look quite nice. Obviously you are getting the light from the camera as well, which is what's casting the shadow behind him. The cabinet lights are off and the room lights are off. Really nice bright chest. The hands do work really well. I will say the batteries are not fitted when it comes, which I feel is a good idea, because I know a lot of people remove the batteries to stop them corroding, so it does give you the option whether you want it lit up or not. I put them on for the sake of the review. To be honest, if I weren't going to review it, I wouldn't have even put the batteries in, because I never display my Iron Man with the lights on. And like I said, the fact I don't like how the lights work in his eyes, once they're turned off, there's a chance they'll never go on again. But that is how the suit looks lit up. Right, just a quick note while I am changing it into the battle damage section. As you can see, I've already put the battle damage head, which is battle damaged all the way around, with a battle damage faceplate. The shoulder sections, the original parts are metal on that, but when you swap them out, they are sculpted plastic, painted really well and really well battle damaged. A lot of detailing, I do like it. The right arm comes with a battle damage bicep, but not left. and the battle damage chest plate, so with the rip marks and that sort of thing. Really nice, pretty standard for Iron Man. I'm not gonna go mental because we've all seen battle damage before, so it's not like something brand new like we saw with the Mark 6 where we were all blown away. One thing that is brand new to me is how you swap out the forearms. As you can see, I've took off the clean version of forearms and they're held on with magnets. As you can see, there's like inside there all the electrics which go down to the light, which is here, but then you have like a magnet section in there, and then it touches on the back. So basically you separate the clean version, and then this would be the replacement forearm. Obviously that's the outer forearm, that's the inner, and then inside it has the metal contact which will hold it on. So like I say, you do get a battle damaged and a rocket launching right forearm, and then just a battle damaged left forearm. And then the sort of gauntlet section, or the flap, you do get battle damaged ones of those, so I'm going to change that out and go to a different set of hands. Right, so there you go. Pops on really well. Again, just how it all works and how it goes together. Really simple, really. You know when you sit there and you get an Hot Toys figure and you think, oh, why didn't they do it like this? There's nothing on this that I can think, I could have done that better, or I wish they'd have took that idea. Because everything that they've been building towards, I think they've pulled off really, really well. Even the pulse blast hands, I know we've seen them on the last few Iron Man, probably going on from the Mark 7, work really well for that sort of, that shooting pose, or as if he's just gliding. They just work so much better. It's like now they've thought of everything. See the battle damage on that? It's that. I said on the unboxing, this is like Iron Man to the extreme. And I also said I prefer a more red Iron Man. I do. That is the honest truth. I prefer an Iron Man closer to the Iron Man when I was a kid, which is predominantly red with some, well, it were yellow then, but I suppose gold. I do prefer that, but it's hard to go against this figure, having seen it in hand, because it just makes every other Iron Man you've seen this far just pale into comparison, and that is the honest truth for it. Like I say, I do prefer other designs. I do always love the Mark IV. It's just so sleek and the lines are so smooth. But like I say, if I can get away from the thought that I prefer more red, then I really can't fault this on anything. It covers all the bases. So on the outfit, the functionality, how it moves, how it swaps out, the options you get, everything taken into consideration, I've got to give it a very, very easy 5 out of 5. They really pulled it off with this one.